cobblestones. I just try to keep me away from the crowd. I'm tired of the street lights. My eyes just follow blurred lines. The night is gonna know the sunrise can bring me back to life. Can bring me back to life. To life. Can bring me back to life.
What's going on, guys? What's cracking? So you just saw, I just got a new Diff. So the Diff is actually not for my car, it is for the wife's car. It is an Aristo 200 millimeter 3.76 Diff from, again, an Aristo. The reason for this is I'm using an Aristo transmission. Now, the gearing and stuff is different from that, from the NA transmission. The factory NA rear end for a non-turbo automatic and manual is the same. It's 4.26. And it just doesn't work for what I want to do. It's great if you want to, say, run a T56 Magnum, but it doesn't work for someone like myself. I need to run a 3.76, or if you're someone that's trying to go for some bigger power and need more length, need more gear, then you want to go to the GS430, which is a 3.26. You can actually get that in the US, so pretty convenient. The other 3.76, I believe, is the Auto TT Supra Diff, and I think there's one other car, and I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But let's go ahead and just take a look at this thing. So here's the Diff. It's actually pretty clean. Yes, this area here is a little crusty, so I'm going to clean this up when I take the cover off here. Yes, we're going to take the cover off just to check out the guts. You can see the bolts here. I wish they would have kept the bolts. This actually had shafts on it that they cut off. I wish they would have given me the bolts so I had some spares, but I'm not going to complain. This paint is the original, and it looks pretty good. It looks like it just needs cleaned up. I was going to paint it, but I'd rather just keep the original paint on it if it looks good, as it shouldn't get bad, just simply for the fact that, well, it's going to be a garage kept car. I think it's pretty cool. They got the pink marker on it too, showing it's from a JZ161 and automatic. And yeah, makes it pretty cool. The one thing that tells you this is an Aristo Diff versus a Auto Supra Diff. A Auto Supra Diff has the little fins in it. The Aristo Diffs do not. Those cooling fins are pretty neat, but not necessary. Plus, it's just one more place for shit to get caught. Do they really work? I have no idea, but I don't really care. So let's go ahead and pop this thing off. I believe these are 14 millimeters. Hopefully this comes off. It looks like it's missing one right here. So that's one bolt that's missing, and yeah, just missing one bolt. So it looks like they took this off to inspect it, and I'm gonna do the same, and then I'm gonna reseal it. All right, guys, so I've got the Diff apart now, as you saw. I just wanted to pull it apart. They've obviously inspected themselves too. All the bolts were loose, and we're missing a bolt, which I've got extra, so not a big deal. I wanted to reseal it myself anyways, but it popped right off. So I'm gonna clean off all of this gasket maker here and then check it out. Again, the Diff looks pretty good. Again, once I seal it up, I'm gonna wash it down and just, because why not, clean it up. But it looks good from what I can see in here. I'm gonna get my light and inspect it some more. I'm gonna spin it around here too to make sure that everything is a-okay inside of here. Now, one thing I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I am doing all this work, and yes, I'm gonna put this in for now. This is an open Diff. I know, guys, I know. I've got babies right now. They're already here. Yes, they're already here at the house. If you already see my Instagram, they're already here. I'll show them here shortly to y'all, kind of reveal all that, but let's get back to the cars until I do that. So I'm just sticking with the open Diff. This gets the car rolling. It has a proper gear ratio and stuff. Again, this is for my wife. For being honest, she'll never romp on it. The only time I'll ever get romped on is if I'm driving it. I just wanted her to have a car, so we go to car shows together. She can carry Oakland, I can carry Ryland, or vice versa. So like, they have one kid, I have one kid, and we can ride together. And I just always thought it'd be really cool to be this like ride or die setup with our cars. And another thing you guys can notice, our cars are pretty much complete. I just washed mine today. It was freezing. If you saw my Instagram, I posted up. It was very cold, but I wanted to get it detailed because it's been sitting in here. It had salt residue from driving it the one day, and I didn't like it. It's cool seeing her car, and I don't know. I'm just really pumped right now seeing everything. I can't wait for these to both be finished and cruising down the road together. I don't care how long You've been working on cars. I don't care if you are the god of cars. No one on this God's green earth loves the smell of gear oil. This shit stinks so bad, it smells like you fucked your cousin's sister's brother-in-law and you all had a giant orgy together and you just all mashed together and all that stuff and then let it, just let it soak for a good 6 months. And that's what it smells like. I'm not sure what that smells like, and I'm probably gonna get roasted just for saying these things. I'm just waiting for the comments now down below. But that's what I imagine that's what this smell originally came from, because this stuff is horrible. Out of all these years, you think you could make it smell good? Just a little bit? This stuff smells horrible. Anyways, I digress. It's all apart and everything's okay. I've got it all scraped out now. I've got that covered. I'm trying to get as much of this off as possible. I cleaned it here. I do need to clean the cover itself if I'd flip it over right now, which I'm not gonna grab with my bare hands because I just cleaned up. I do need to flip the cover over and I wanna spray that out. I wish I had a parts cleaner as it would make this a little bit easier. It's just crusty. Like it doesn't need much, it just is crusty. So it needs cleaned up. But now that I've got a new diff and it's already out and I gotta take that one out, you know what that means. It means that I kind of want to put new bushings in it. So what do? I'm always a big one going, let's go straight and let's go to solid mounts. But this is not a Matic, so we don't have the issues that we have with a manual. So do I go back to Figs Engineering and try out the rubber bushings? Well, I should say polymer bushings. If you guys don't know, in the past, I actually ripped them out. Now, I'm under the understanding that they had better ones at the time, but if that was the case, they recommended the wrong ones. I literally called the company and they recommended the wrong ones. So you can't get mad at me when you literally told me to buy it and I told you my power goals and they broke within like a month. So do I go back to Figs and give that a shot again, get the upgraded ones, or just go straight to solid on this? But this is for the wife. I don't want a bunch of extra noise for no reason. Do they add more noise? Absolutely, but they work great. So I'm stuck in between this catch-22 situation. Okay guys, so again, diffs apart. I've got this cleaned up. It's not perfect, so I'm gonna eventually clean this up really good one day, but you can see there's still some residue from Japan, but I got all the dirt off of it and everything. I used oven cleaner on it to get most of the stuff off, but you can see in between the fins there's some residue. You can't see the diff on our car, so I'm not really worried about it. And as long as it's clean, so it's not leaking, I'm okay. I went ahead and scraped this surface. I used this scraper here. I don't use this on the aluminum surface because I don't want to dig into it, but on this cast iron surface, it's not really a problem. Try to get as much residue as I could. And then for the aluminum part of the pan, or it's not for the pan, but the cover, I used one of these bristle brushes. It's like, I don't know how stiff it is, I would say, but it's like a brass material. It works pretty good. As you can see here, again, I use that when I do oil pans. Clean this up nice, then I hit it with brake cleaner here to make sure there's no residue, and then I hit that with brake cleaner also, just to try and get it off. I'm gonna set my camera up here real quick, and I'm gonna put a bead around this. We're gonna run a bead on the inside of the holes. We don't need a lot because this is a flat surface, and then when we line it up, we gotta torque down these bolts. I'm not sure what they get torqued to, but they are 14 millimeters, and from what I've seen in past, 14 millimeters usually means around 29 foot-pounds from everything else I've seen, but I'm gonna double check that as you never know. So I'll get this on, and then when I do go to torque it down, I'll let you guys know what it needs to be to. Guys, you'll see the two dowel pins here will line you up. So you get a bottom one and a top dowel pin, and you're gonna put it in like this. You have your breather at top, and we'll take it like that. And we'll use our dowel pins to help line us up. All right. Now that it's all sealed up, guys, I used the impact on this and then just cranked it to 29 foot-pounds. I couldn't find it quick, but it's not gonna hurt. 14 millimeter bolt, 29 foot-pounds should hold it. If it doesn't, I'll let you guys know, but 29 or just crank it down tight. I mean, it's a cast iron base or containing area, so you're not gonna strip the threads out of it. If anything, you could probably crack this aluminum before you do anything else. So 29, 30 foot-pounds, it should be good. Again, that's just a rubber seal that's in there. You know, you're using FIPG, which is fill-in gasket. That's the name of it, at least. So yeah, it works. Now what we're gonna do, or I've already started, is we're putting gear oil in it. Now, I wanna show you guys right off the start. This is still an open diff. My wife's gonna be driving it. I'm just using basic gear oil. Now, if it was, say, my Supra, or if we go to an OS Geiken, I would use OS Geiken fluid. Or if you don't use a OS Geiken LSD, I would use something like Redline Synchro Mesh, something that would, you know, heavy shock load, anything like that, that would keep it from damaging. But when you have an automatic, you don't have the shock load a manual has, you don't have any of the issues that a manual has. Manuals have a lot of problems that automatics don't have. So that's one of the nice things. And again, this is an open diff, so I'm just putting in some cheap gear oil for now until maybe a year from now or whenever I swap it all out and go to a proper LSD. For now, I just needed the gear ratio more than anything. I don't really need anything else. Yes, it does suck. It is an open diff, but it is what it is. We'll get to it when that time comes. Now, what we're doing is you need to buy 2 quarts of this stuff. Per the book, it says it should if it's still wet. So like if you drained it out, there's always residue. If it was bone dry, it should take 1.8 quarts, but if it's semi-wet, it'll take 1.5 quarts. Unfortunately, you can't buy half a quart, so you gotta buy 2 full quarts. I've already got 1 full one in it, and I'm about to put the second one in it. Now you're gonna ask me, well, Ryan, how do I know when it's full? Well, the only way to really know is you're gonna fill from the top hole here. Here's your bottom drain plug. Here's your top fill hole. What you're gonna do is, don't fluid into it until it runs out. Once it starts running out, you're done. Once it's filled up to that point, that's when you know. It's not really an exact science, so I'm just gonna turn this up here, and once it starts leaking out, you'll know it's full. Again, guys, I want to talk to you here till it starts dripping out. The reason I'm filling it now, filling it in the car is more of a pain. This is a contained unit, so I can actually fill it like this. If it was open, like if the axle sides were open, you couldn't do this, but since this is a contained unit, I'm able to do so. And there it goes, look, starting to drip out. So I overfill it too much, I put way too much into here, so I'm gonna grab some rags quick. There we go. I put way too much in it there, guys, but you can see it is leaking out. Let me get this out of the way. You can see it's leaking out there. Don't be like me and put that much in it, but it wasn't coming out quick enough. All right, guys, so we're draining out the old diff right now. Sorry, it's got to focus there. Drain out the old diff. This one is sold. Got the axles already broken loose. Got all the bolts out. You can see here, sorry if it won't focus because the light is so bright. Let's try going from this way. There we go. This fluid is dirty. Little dirty, but we want to drain it out. Once it's all drained out here, we're going to drop this. I don't have a transmission jack, so what we actually have a Colton jack. Colton is the, look at that, look at the muscles. Show me the muscles. Have them come down. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Lord have mercy, we scared. Yeah. So once this finishes draining, put the plug back in, and I got to get this shipped off to Georgia. Okay, so everything is bolted back up now. We also put the exhaust on, so you guys can see now we've got the Aristo diff in there. I didn't scroll with the part numbers, and believe it or not, that's the factory paint from Toyota. Only thing I had to clean off was the plugs themselves. They had like this crusty residue on it. Besides that, I didn't have to touch it. Like that's a factory black paint from Toyota that's 20 some years old. The cover's not perfect, but the rest is good. Got the bolts in too. I highly recommend, well, let me just show you, to get these off, you guys should invest in some of these. I've had people message me before, like what these tools are even for. I'm surprised how many people don't understand how to get to these and easily get to them. So you're going to want to invest in something like these little ball head, and people are like, what are these for? Like I've had multiple people ask me this now, whether it be Instagram, whether it be YouTube. These allow you to get angles. So I've got short versions here, then I've got versions that are just squared off, but these little rounded heads allow you to do this. I'll just walk over and show you, which is the best way. So instead of having to go straight on this, right, you would have to go straight on this. Well, right now you see how the boot comes down? It doesn't allow your tool to get in there. With this, you can go in at an angle. It allows like a 30% angle. So I can get an impact on that and still hit it and it doesn't break off or anything. Pretty neat little tool. Again, you can get these from like Harbor Freight. I've got nice Icon ones, but again, they slip right in there and they are tight too. Now, don't use these all the time. I recommend using a regular one if you can have access, but in an instance like this, or like over here, it comes in handy. So again, invest in some of these, they're cheap. You can go to Harbor Freight, or if you want Snap-on or Matco or whatever, just buy some and save yourself some headache.